Hi, I'm Gabriel. I'm a data scientist at Fiddler AI, where we build software that helps you monitor and explain your machine learning models in production. So what we're seeing across so many companies and so many industries is that AI teams lack visibility into their models. So, a model, we have models for making business critical decisions on a daily basis, but we don't really have a way to understand how those models are coming to the decisions they're making. Model's performance can decay over time, and it can become biased to particular subsegments of the population. And we really don't have a way to understand when that's happening and proactively debug and diagnose those issues. In a big way, models are a black box, right? We feed in some input, we get some output, but we don't really get to see the inner workings as to how is the model coming to the decision it's making. And this can impact so many different users, like data scientists who are developing the models don't really get to understand how their model's doing, as well as auditors and regulators. They need to be held accountable for how they're making the business decisions they're making, and they can't always do it, especially as the complexity of ML algorithms increases. So what we really need is essentially application performance monitoring for machine learning. Today, product teams have products like Mixpanel that can help you understand how are users interacting with your product. DevOps teams have tools like AppDynamics and Datadog, which allow you to see the end-to-end software basically at every stage. But AI and ML teams don't have equivalent tools available. So what we're proposing is model performance management, which is similar to application performance management, except it gives you that visibility into your model that lets you explain, how is your model coming to the decisions it's making, and allows you to monitor how is your model doing over time, as well as detect if your model is becoming biased. So what's most critical on top of all that is the ability to set alerts for all of these, for anything that could be going wrong. So Fiddler is a model performance management system, and it plugs into the ML lifecycle at every stage. So as soon as you deploy your model, you can hook Fiddler up to your model, and you can get valuable metrics like performance metrics, seeing when your performance is decreasing over time, data drift, when is the form of your data changing, and data integrity. So if you're having a lot of missing values or range or type violations. So I will very quickly walk you through how Fiddler works. It has 3 simple APIs that allow us to get data into the system. So I have a Jupyter notebook here, and let's say I have a training data set. So this data set was used to train a model, a churn classification model that takes a particular customer and a set of features about that customer and predicts the probability that that customer will churn. All I have to do to get that data onto Fiddler is import the package over here, set up a connection to the Fiddler server, create some IDs that will be used to register the model. And we can infer a schema for the data set directly from the data frame above. After that, we just create the project and upload the data set to that project. So I'll go ahead and run that cell. And it's done. So the data set's been uploaded. Now we can go ahead and register our model to Fiddler. The only thing additional that we need here is a few specifications about how our model operates. So that's which is our target column, which is our prediction column. And if we have any metadata columns, which we do here, the prediction ID for a given prediction, we can specify that there. Then we can go ahead and just run register model and just give it a few seconds. It will register our model with Fiddler. All right, it's done. And now it's time to send some production data to Fiddler. So let's say I also have this set of production events where each row corresponds to a prediction that was made. Here, you'll note I don't have access to the ground truth since I just made the prediction, but I do have timestamps that correspond to when the prediction was made. And this represents 2,000 predictions made in the last week. So I can go ahead and just send this whole batch to Fiddler using the publish events batch function. I just pass in the data frame above and tell Fiddler, which is my event IDs, which column are my event IDs in, and where can I find my timestamps. So I'll run that, just give it a few seconds, and all the data will be pumped into the system. All right, it's done. So let me go over to the Fiddler UI now. So on the Fiddler UI, we have this projects page here. And if I click on it, I'll note that I have a new project available to me, which I just created. And on the front page, if I click on that project, I can see the churn classifier that I just registered. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that model. And now I have a series of tabs at the top that can help me dig into the model. So if I click on monitor, I can see a bunch of monitoring metrics to see how my model is doing over time. So on the first tab here, we have data drift. And here specifically, we're looking at prediction drift for the prediction column, but I could change this to any feature I like. And this lets me know if my model's predictions are changing drastically over time. We also, there's a lot here, so I'm not going to go into the full suite of features, but if I click on one of these time bins, I get sort of a little report down below that tells me about that particular time bin. So we have other metrics as well, such as performance metrics, which we would need to publish ground truth in order to access, but we can do that at any later date. We have data integrity metrics, which will tell us if there's any violating production events coming in, and service metrics, things like traffic count. And what's super critical is the ability to set alerts on all of these metrics. So we'll be the first to know if our model's performance starts to change. Then on the Analyze tab up here, this allows us to run SQL queries on our production data. So if I run this, I can actually get a slice of data that corresponds to a particular time period. And I can go ahead and add charts that will let me look at this particular slice of data. So let's say I want to look at the correlation between two of my variables. I could see that right here. On the Explain tab, this allows us again to query data, but this time we can pick a particular prediction and we'll get a breakdown of how the prediction was made. So this uses Shapley values to come to a conclusion about which features are most responsible for the prediction that the model arrived at. And what's awesome here is we have the ability to change these values, rerun, and compare it to the old attributions. So let's say I change credit score to be 500. We may see some change and we can compare the old to the new. All right, and last we have the Evaluate tab, which lets us look at a static slice of data and get some model performance metrics around that. So that pretty much sums it up. Thanks so much. I really hope that this helps you understand why a model performance management system like Fiddler is so important.